Okay, so this is chapter 1 for Gero, gerontology, that is. As we go through it, I'll try and highlight what is the need to know from what is the other content within the chapter. So there's not a whole lot of information within the first couple of chapters. A lot of it's been review from basic nursing practice in the first couple of classes that we took. All right, so gerontology, of course, is the study of the older population. Usually they have multiple conditions or multiple chronic issues. Gerontology specifically is a holistic look at a person, and geriatrics is more medically based. So you have gerontology, and these are the need to knows. Gerontology, and again, that's holistic. And then you have the geriatrics, which is more medically based. The gerontology specifically focuses on the study of the physical and mental changes within a person as they get older. They analyze the changes in society and application of the knowledge that they gain. So society instead of just the individual. With geriatrics, again, it's more medical. You study the health and disease patterns or your etiology. Comprehensive health care of older persons and the well-being of caregivers. So within our gerontology, our main principles are going to be health promotion, health protection, disease prevention, and treatment of diseases. And that's for gerontology. And again, a broader scope. Life expectancy, and again, this is need to know. So I'll put asterisks by the need to know. Life expectancy, as you might imagine, is the amount of time from birth till death that you're expected to live. And obviously, life expectancy with medical technology is going to increase. And so that's another thing that we look at during gerontology. So as we have more medical devices, as we have more technology, our population grows older. And it will continue to grow older. Prospectively, it's supposed to double in like the next 50 years and triple in the next 75 years or something of this nature. But either way, we're getting a growing population of people that would be considered a geriatric client. So the stages of life. You have different stages of life, and it starts from birth till death, of course. But specifically, let's look at the older stages of life. You have they're categorizing older adults as young old, middle old, and as you might imagine, old, which I think is kind of funny. But stages of life. So you're going to start off, obviously, before birth, antepartum, then you have neonate, and again, this is before birth. Then you have toddler, so before birth, toddler, child, adolescence, and then young adult and middle age and older. Young adult, middle age, and older. Now this older is where they've decided to expand it, and they have this young old. And this was necessary because of the growing amount of people that are older and the increased life expectancy. So you have young old, which is 65 to 74. Then you have middle old, which is 75 to 84, or pretty much 9 years. Anyways, 75 to 84. And then you have old, which is 85 plus. Old, which is 85 plus. I'm sure they wouldn't appreciate that. But this is your need to know out of this. You have young old, middle old, and old. And again, if you just kind of add on 9 from 65, then we'll get those different categories. So let's erase that. Now, there's a lot of stereotypes with the older population, one being that they can't learn new things or that we shouldn't teach health promotion, which is one of the things that goes under the myths of aging. Now, the myths of aging, again, and I think that we're constantly reminded of this, pain is not part of aging. but also that old people or older people are sick. I mean, yes, they have a lot of illnesses, or they might have comorbidities, chronic disease, but they're not necessarily sick because they're old. Can't learn new ways. Can't learn, which obviously is not the case. Health promotion is a waste, and this is what we need to know here. Health promotion is a waste. And then older people are isolated and alone, and they don't like sex. So that's another. They don't like sex, which is not the case. Just because they're older does not mean that they want to stop having sex. And so you just need to watch out for these myths being part of the stereotyping. So we're stereotyping the older adult as you're old, so therefore you have to be sick. You can't learn anything new. It's a waste of time to teach health promotion, healthier eating, and exercise at this point because you're going to die soon. Things like that, where they're not getting equal treatment across the board as far as healthcare services. All right. So benefits of healthy aging, and that goes in part with the Healthy People 2020 that we are always reminded of. Benefits of healthy aging creates confidence and competence. The coping ability is increased, gratitude and appreciation. Confidence increases with less reliance, and self-understanding and acceptance increases. So basically, through healthy aging, they will become more independent and feel less reliant on other people, which is important. So as far as men to women go, men don't make the cut here, but women will outpopulate men 100 to 49 men. I've also heard the statistic 1 to 3, so for every 3 women you have 1 man. Either way, women are living longer. And that's also going to be important for you to know. The epidemiology, we know epidemiology is just the study of health and disease and the type of disease and where it comes from. 80% of seniors have one chronic health issue, which leads to disability or decreased function of ADLs. Your leading causes of, and this is not a need to know, leading causes of disability is arthritis, hypertension, heart disease, respiratory disorders, and diabetes. Diabetes and respiratory disorder. And again, 80% of older adults have at least one chronic disease. These are the leading ones. So just like we had health promotion before, you have primary, secondary, and tertiary. Primary is still, your education, your prevention, your nutritional intake, and exercise. Tobacco cessation classes, which seems to me that it would be a different category. But anyways, it's under primary, and I guess because it's education. Secondary is screenings, so early detections, same concept, same thing that we had before. So testing, screening, mammograms, colonoscopies, things of that nature. And tertiary, of course, is rehab. Aids to increase independence and limit the amount of dysfunction from a disease that's already known about. All right. So at that point, you already know that something's wrong. You're trying to limit the amount of disability associated with that. Some of your screens are going to be colonoscopies, and those are done every 10 years. Of course, you have lipids you want to be checking. You want to be checking for diabetes. Mammograms are yearly. So colonoscopies and mammograms are going to be at your top priority. Bone mass, of course, is important, especially for women, and that's done every 2 years. Glucose tolerance tests every 6 months. And then the annual vaccines. Of course, you don't want to necessarily give them live, but at least annual vaccines. So Medicare Part B, there's a Welcome to Medicare part that takes care of a lot of this preventative first-hand measures so that we get a solid baseline across the board. And it really looks at the patient all around, gets a baseline for everything, and we really want to encourage people to do that so that they start off with the screening that they should be having. Again, 5 chronic diseases also that contribute to 2/3 of the deaths are heart disease, cancer, stroke, COPD, and diabetes. So from this list of chronic disabling diseases, you've got stroke, and then of course heart disease comes into your morbidity. Heart disease, diabetes, take that down there, and COPD, which is, a respiratory disorder, but COPD, and cancer. Sorry, that's missing that. So out of these ones, 2/3 of the deaths come from this. Okay, so it's going to be cancer, COPD, stroke, diabetes, and heart disease that cause the most amount of deaths, and that's a need to know. Common causes of disabilities, I've already went through that, but these are your chronic illnesses. Disabilities are kind of listed in a different box in Chapter 1, and one of the primary ones is degenerative joint disease or osteomyelitis, which is a need to know. You also have low back pain, which affects a lot of people. Arteriosclerosis, which is the hardening of the hardening of your arteries. Lung and respiratory problems, deafness and hearing problems, of course, mental and emotional problems, diabetes, and blind and vision problems, as well as stroke, which can affect a lot of your ADLs. All right, so let's move off from that. Again, myths of aging. You can teach them stuff: primary, secondary, and tertiary health promotion, Medicare Part B, and then there's the stroke, cancer, COPD, heart disease as your primary, and diabetes as your primary causes of death, as well as those chronic diseases that we listed. Now, the disabling disease, oops, that's the ugly color. Let's get rid of that one. Your disabling, again, I just that one is going to be your degenerative joint disease, or osteomyelitis. And then, of course, you have sensory issues. So your sensory would be your hearing, vision, and then stroke, which a lot of times will cripple, especially half of their body. Low back pain. These are just to name a few, but your biggest one right here is your osteomyelitis. Low back pain. Okay. Opportunities to improve older Americans' health and quality of life. And again, that sounds a lot like Healthy People 2020. Healthy lifestyle is more significant than genes. So if I can get you to live a healthier lifestyle, it's more significant than genes. Because a lot of people are like, well, I'm going to be this, this, and this. I'm going to have hypertension. I'm going to have diabetes. I'm going to have, because it runs in my family. But a lot of that can be prevented based off of the way that you nutritionally exercise, things of that nature. Preventative screening, of course, is going to be a big part. Early detection of disease is going to be important. Obviously, it's most treatable when it's it's detected early rather than in late stages. Immunizations is really important, especially in long-term care facilities where you have large populations living together. And then injury prevention is also important because a lot of times when you have injury, like for instance a hip fracture or a femur fracture, things like that, where older people are falling and breaking significant bones because of loss of bone mass, those can lead to complete disability and then downhill gradually from there. A lot of times hip fractures can be related to morbidity as well. So self-management, reduce chronic pain. So the patient being able to manage some of their pain, taking hot baths, soaking, massage therapy, alternative methods for that. Healthy People 2020, and of course we have to write this down. So Healthy People 2020, again, their whole purpose is to extend the quantity and quality of life. Healthy People 2020, Healthy People 2020. So Healthy People 2020 attain higher quality of life, achieve health equality. Of course, we already know that. Create social and psychological environment to promote health for all. So promote health through the environment And again, this is a quantity and quality. Promote quality of life through health development and healthy behaviors. Create social and physical environment that promotes health for everyone. So these are some of the things that Healthy People 2020 is looking at. And then, of course, health equality. Or just health equality. Getting rid of disparities. Okay. So the focus area of Healthy People for older people especially is some of them, not all of them, but some of them are food safety, HIV, and STDs. And I list those ones because those are the ones that off of the list are most unexpected. So the other ones are very general and can kind of be expected. The public health, infrastructure, and again, the rest are pretty basic. But I thought I would hit on the HIV and STDs and food safety because you don't necessarily think about that during health promotion for an older patient. The other term, and this is a need to know, make sure I'm spelling that right. Okay, that's a little bit ugly. All right, so this is basically the progressive. It's how people that focus in a geriatric field like to classify the progressive degeneration or deterioration of the body systems and the increased risk of morbidity. So this is the breakdown of the body systems in older patients. Breakdown of body systems in older patients. And that, again, that's a need to know term that they asked us to remember. So normal aging. Let's look at normal aging. We already talked about some of the chronic and disabling factors with aging. Normal aging goes like this, and I'm going to go through the entire system. Normal aging. And again, just because you're old does not mean you're sick. There's plenty of healthy people that are older. All right, so your heart, the heart will begin to thicken. The muscle will begin to thicken, and the ability to oxygenate blood will be lessened from that. Likewise, because of your heart thickening and the force of the blood, your arteries will also begin to harden. Lungs, as far as lungs, your breath capacity, that's hard for me to say, breath capacity will decrease with exercise or walking, so that was a need to know right there. The brain loss of axons, that doesn't mean that it's permanent. It can be, there are studies that have shown that you can stimulate the brain. Kidneys, of course, are going to be less effective, and that's going to be really important for medication administration. You also have your bladder capacity, which is going to be reduced, and that will lead to a lot of incontinence. And then, of course, you need to be thinking about skin. Body fat, it will increase until there's a sharp decline in fat and in muscle. So a lot of the fat will go to the abdominal and surround the visceral organs. So body fat kind of goes up, and then all of a sudden it spikes down when you start to lose muscle mass. So when you start to lose that muscle mass, then the body fat goes down. And a lot of time, whatever fat they have will go straight to the abdominal, which of course puts them at higher risk for a lot of issues. But and around the visceral organs. So it's surrounding the visceral organs instead of just on exterior. Muscle tone obviously is going to go down. You really got to fight that off. Amount of protein they're taking in, exercising. Bone, again, bone density. We already talked about this. We do screen for this, especially in women. Your sight increases. Increased sensitivity to glare. So glares, sight will decrease, and there's an increased sensitivity to glares on a page or on, for instance, this whiteboard. We also have hearing, which is going to be, of course, decreased. And just to note, the personality will generally mean, unless of course they have dementia or Alzheimer's, it will be stable. So pretty much you have a decrease in all of the systems all the way through. But again, a lot of this can be health promotion, things of that nature, exercise, good nutrition. A lot of this can be counteracted, if not delayed. And again, personality will remain stable. So that's normal aging. All right, homeostasis, of course, we know homeostasis is the balance of the body, or the body wanting to be in balance. It's always going to want to be in homeostasis, where everything is nice and in its happy pH and its happy function. As you get older, your ability to maintain homeostasis or return to homeostasis from an illness or injury is going to be decreased. So that is called homeostenosis, and this is the body's inability to return back to balance or homeostasis. And again, a need to know. It's a need to know. All right. Then we go on to age theories, and there's several different age theory categories. So age theory, the process. The age theory is the ideas of how people age and what maintains homeostasis. So the age theories look like this. All right, we have program longevity, and in this theory, it's a sort of switching on and off of genes. So to look at the genes, you also have the endocrine, which is a biological endocrine. And in this theory of the endocrine theory, you have a biological clock. Biological clock. And it looks at the hormones, of course, because we just said endocrine, but it looks at the hormones as far as aging goes. And then you have your immune theory. The immune theory declines in the immune system, healthy lifestyle, and preventative measures. So decline in the ability of the immune system to fight off infections and harmful pathogens, things of that nature. You also have the error theory. So you have wear and tear. Again, you need to know wear and tear theory, which basically states that cells and organs have vital parts that wear out after years of use. So basically, you wear it down, whether it be the cells or the organs that you're wearing down. Either way, things are just starting to get a little bit older. Cross-link theory. Again, you need to know cross-link theory. Cross-link theory is proteins binding to glucose and cannot perform normally. It results in vision problems, etc. So the binding of glucose to protein. Binding of glucose to protein obviously would not allow either of those to function properly. And those create health problems from there. You also have free radicals. Free radicals, damage caused by oxygen, that basically the idea is that you have negative ions. So those are radicals. Damage caused by oxygen radicals causes loss in cell function and organs. And that one's a little bit, but basically radicals, if you ever heard of like antioxidants, things like that, radicals are damaging body systems. So unstable, really comes down to unstable atoms. But anyways, somatic DNA damage theory, a genetic mutation occurs and accumulates with increasing age. So somatic DNA basically stating that genetic mutations lead to aging and disability. So those are some of, we have a couple more. Emerging biological theories is the study and mapping of the human genome. And then you have psychological theories. You have the Jug. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Jug. I'm not. Yeah, Jug theory. It's introspective. So introspective, of course, means with inside of ourselves. And it relates to some of the psyche of inside of our being and finding purpose, things of that nature. And then Erickson's stages of life. And we know, of course, Erickson had focus on development and things of that nature, but stages of life. All right, so those ones are the psychological theories. So these two, basically introspective, looking inside of ourselves, and the stages of life, which is also psychological. The biological ones was the mapping of the human genome, and gene responsible, and there's a gene responsible for aging. So under your biological theories, you have some gene that's going to specifically age you. All right. Sociological is a look at the person in relation to their environment, and sociological is, of course, society, looking at the whole connections and relationships. So disengagement would be the nature to withdraw, and we're kind of running out of room here, but so disengagement, that it's the basically the theory that they're going to withdraw. Activity theory, staying active and engaged is going to increase longevity. And continuity, which is maintaining normal lifestyle. So continuity, normal lifestyle, however you've lived throughout your life, continue to live that way. So those are some of them. And again, your most important ones were these wear and tear, crosslink, and she did also mention free radicals. But we went over all of those. So that is chapter 1 in 27 minutes.